you.
So, I love your shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I love moms. I do. I love all you guys. All moms. So I don't know if you remember, before we started shooting the moms, we went to lunch. I think it was with Kaylee and Carly, and we started talking about your birthing experience.
Oh, yes.
And it was just, it opened my eyes to so many things there that I didn't know about giving birth. Yes. And for the whole time we've been shooting this, I've been wanting to have an episode where we get to talk about what that experience was like. So today's comment question comes from Sunshine's Peaches, who asks, can you guys talk about your birthing experiences? What were your guys' delivery plans? Did you follow it? How natural did you keep it? So I don't know how we want to do this. If someone just wants to dive into theirs first, and we could go one by one.
Oh, well, I don't think I didn't really have a plan. Honestly, I was just like, well, women have babies. I guess I'm going to have one now, you know.
Wow.
And so I didn't really make a definite plan. I just went into it thinking if it hurts, I'll probably ask for drugs.
That's a good plan.
Yeah, that was the plan.
We're talking about just the birthing experience, right? Not like the pregnancy, because that's a whole nother.
Yeah, that's
It's a whole
Okay,
other show.
this is just the delivery.
When we sat that afternoon, it was everybody
We
had
had
such a
such
different
different,
experience,
right.
and
Yeah,
just
okay.
how much I didn't know about the experience and the stages of it and all the options and all
Yeah.
those things. So I just
Okay.
love to.
Well, you know, I feel like I was really lucky. I had really quick deliveries with all of mine within like 6 hours.
Wow.
All of them were 6 hours, maybe 6.5 hours with
with
one of them.
labor too.
With labor and delivery.
That's amazing.
Wow.
She's amazing. It's amazing to me that you have such an easy time because you're so small.
Yeah.
And what's weird too is I've done both where I've had Baby Tart. I had all, like I went on my own, but with the other ones I was induced, and all of them were just 6 hours ish.
And was it incredibly painful? Were you using?
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah.
Like, oh.
Okay. Well, with gosh, I really don't know where to start.
Well, maybe we could start. Does any?
All I know is Colette is one tough monkey.
Yeah.
Monkey mommy. Because I worked out with her and she's tough and you're good at I think you're good at
Nice.
channeling your pain and concentrating and focusing. And I think that's why maybe it helps you have kids. Because it's really about
Channel your
concentration
pain.
and you have to focus on connect your mind to your pain, to your body, to the baby, to everything that's going on. Because there's so many nurses and machines and your mind is just everywhere and it's focusing in that and you're so good at
Oh, you're so sweet.
eye on the game.
I got
baby.
you guys.
Eyes on the game.
Did you have an epidural?
Okay, yes, I did with the first one. With Suntard, I had an epidural, and, you know, I guess it's your first time, so you don't really know exactly what to expect, obviously. And it went well, but with my second one, I realized it went better, you know? You just kind of learn how to breathe and how to, push. There's different ways of doing it. And the first time it was, really weird, and, the doctor had me, kind of crunching up into a ball and pushing, and I'm like, that doesn't feel right. It didn't feel right. And, obviously I had the baby and it was fine. But then I learned that, you have to sort of arch your back a little more and it feels better. So,
Yeah.
little things that you learn as you go. And now I feel like if I did have another child, I would be able to do it naturally. Because I feel like
Wow.
I know, because I almost had rocked hard naturally. They didn't give me the epidural, and I had been induced, and so when you're induced, your contractions come faster, and they're usually more intense than if you were to just go naturally. So they're coming closer together, and they're more intense, and I was just dying, and I'm dying,
Death.
And so they didn't give me the epidural until 20 minutes before I had him. Literally, it was I
Sons
basically
of
did
guns.
all the hard work without the epidural. And so I feel like I could have done it all the way, but
I saw this movie. It's a documentary called The Business of Being Born. I don't know if you've seen it, but
Ricky Lake?
it's fascinating, and they show a lot of home natural births where they do it in the bathtub. And I noticed a lot of them were standing up, and and they talk about it in the movie too. That the reason they had women lay on their back is because it was easier for the doctor to come in and do the work. But obviously, you're fighting gravity, and it doesn't make as much sense.
Yeah.
And most women, if you're standing, it's gonna
Makes
help
more
with
sense,
that. Yeah.
When I was in labor with Braylee, I was having back labor and they didn't know, and I wanted to stand up and they wouldn't let me because they were using monitors.
right.
And I kept lying and saying I had to go to the bathroom because I was like, I cannot
wow.
lay here anymore.
Yeah. It actually feels better to get up
To
and
Were you
stand, sort of
induced
move.
with Braylee?
With Braylee, I was induced. I went over my due date. And I remember on my due date, I went to the to the doctor, and he was like, your body's not doing anything. We're going to induce you on Thursday. And they were like, okay, what's your social security number? And I was like, I don't know. They're like, okay. What, asking me all these questions. I'm like, I don't know. I was so nervous.
Yeah.
So I was really nervous going into all of this, I'm a really private person. I feel uncomfortable. Like, some people like to have a lot of people in the room. They feel okay about that. I'm not one of them. I'm like really private. So I was nervous about that. And so I felt like from the beginning, I kind of closed myself up to everything. So I went in that morning and I was induced. And I didn't really start contracting for about 10 hours.
Ugh.
I wasn't really like doing much. I had a little bit of pain. So they have some sort of pill. So I was on Pitocin. They have some sort of pill that they put on your cervix, to make you actually like contract more. And so I was on both of those things, and literally it was like all of a sudden it just hit me, and I was in the worst pain. I can't even explain it. I was passing out. I was hyperventilating. It was just a really bad experience, and they wouldn't give me an epidural.
Do you feel like your
I
body wasn't quite ready? So
I don't know, because I was over my due date, but I feel like it was like a combination of a lot of things. I feel like I was on too many drugs.
Yeah.
Or I had too much going on. I was like really contracting constantly. It was a constant thing. They had to eventually give me a shot to slow down my contractions.
Why didn't they want to give you an epidural? It was too late.
I wasn't contracting.
I wasn't dilated.
you have to be dilated to
wow.
a certain place.
Like a 7, right?
to get it.
Yeah, I hadn't dilated at all.
Wow, but you were having all these contractions.
Yeah, I was just contracting. And so they put another pill in my cervix to make it go faster, but it was just killing me.
But I mean, she wound up being a C-section, right?
So yeah, finally the doctor was there. That's the other thing about my doctor was delivering in a few different cities, so he wasn't able to be there. Because I think if the doctor would have been there and spending time with me, he would have given me an epidural. My body was in so much pain. I was hurting so bad. There's no way you can relax. And I mean, breathing wouldn't help. None of those things would help. So I did have an emergency C-section, which went fine. I think a lot of people are nervous about C-sections. The C-section was fine, and my recovery was really good. After, I didn't get to hold Braylee, they put her by my face. I got to look at her and touch her a little bit. And but when they handed her to me, I've talked about this before, it was like I had given birth. And, the first time I held her, it was so magical and great. So when I was pregnant with Gage, I didn't want to go through that again. Like, I don't know if it was my body or the medicine or what. I just didn't feel like I could give birth for some reason. So I decided just to have a C-section again. And it was kind of a bad experience too. I have strep B when I'm pregnant. And if the baby breathes in any of the fluid, they can be really, really sick. It can be deadly. And with Braylee, they gave me a bunch of antibiotics so that wouldn't happen. But with Gage, they said if you're having a C-section, there's not a chance of that happening. It's really a slim chance. So it's like, okay, that's fine. So they did the C-section, which was a lot more intense when you're awake and alert. With Braylee, I was out of it. So I was kind of like, oh.
But you don't feel anything, but you're awake and you know it's happening.
I could feel things. Like, I could feel pressure. I could feel like...
Oh.
Wow.
Can they put you out?
I don't know. I'm sure that they could, but it's like they want you to feel
obviously.
that.
You want to be awake for your...
And they're moving all your
gosh.
different organs,
Yeah,
right?
so I could feel like pressure and yucky
Put my liver
stuff.
back in the right spot, please.
And I don't want to freak anyone out from C-sections because I really think that they have a bad rap and they're not as bad as they can seem. But to be aware that it feels weird and there's a lot of things going on. But when Gage came out, he did breathe in the fluids. So I remember him just crying and crying, and I was laying there. They didn't show him to me, and I was like, what is going on? What's going on with my baby? And I remember Casey just looking at me like, it's okay, but I could tell he was like, what's going on? And he left me, so I was just laying there, and your arms are strapped to the table, and I was like, what's going on? Why isn't anyone telling me? And then they took him away, and Casey came in. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, he's okay, it's okay. He's just having a hard time breathing. So then they took me back to my room and took him to the NICU, and he was having a hard time breathing. They needed to get fluids in him and monitor him. And then I got sick. I got really sick from the medicine. So I just laid in my bed all day and crying because, you know, I wanted to see my baby. I still had this belly. You have a C-section, so you don't go through giving birth. So it was kind of like, I felt like I didn't have a baby. And then finally at 10 o'clock that night, so I had him like at 7 that morning. And finally at 10 o'clock that night, I got to see him.
So was that the first time you got to see him?
It was the first time I got to see him other than pictures. And it wasn't hard because with Braylee, it was this magical experience.
Yeah.
It was this most beautiful thing. And with Gage, the first time I saw him, he had an IV in his head. And he had a feeding tube. He was on oxygen. And he had all these monitors on his chest. And I think, like I said, when you don't give birth, you don't have that feeling of having a child. And it was okay with Braylee. And so I was expecting it to feel the same. But when they handed him to me, I hate to admit this, but I was like, this is not my baby. And it was really hard to connect with him. And right after they handed him to me, I held him and I wanted to feel that feeling and I didn't. And then I got really sick, so it was just a brief moment. I had to give him back and go back to my room, and I felt so guilty because it was okay that I left him. And then the next day I went back and they had taken his IV out of his head and his feeding tube out, so I got to feed him. And I was able to spend more time with him, and that got a lot better, you know, and I was feeling better. But I still had a hard time connecting with him like I did with Braylee. And then that night I went to see him again, and they said, do you want to try nursing? And with Braylee, she would not latch on. It was not a great experience. And so I was really nervous to do that. And we've talked about nursing and the fun things that come along with that. And we all agreed after that, we're like, we need to talk about the great things about nursing. And with Gage, it was the best thing of my experience with having him, because he latched on immediately and we bonded at that time. So I'm so grateful that for nursing for those reasons. And a lot of people in the comments also said that, you know, talk about the wonderful bonding experience that you have with your child. So, you know, I felt that amazing bond, and and it was good after that. We brought him home, and he's brought so much joy, you know.
And
I
he's
mean,
such a mama's boy.
Yeah,
too.
he's like the most special little, like he's so sensitive. Like I remember the first time I met him, like he was just standing in the driveway, and he was like helping us in with his bags, like just really, really such a sweet, like amazing.
He's sweet. So it was hard, and I'm sure some of the viewers can relate to that when they have C-sections. It's just sometimes hard to connect with
I
that.
never thought about it like that.
But breastfeeding is so important because it's got that bonding hormone, you know.
I was
so
going
it's-
to ask you, because when you have a C-section, your body doesn't know you've given birth. So
Right.
you don't naturally start lactating like if you were to give birth.
Yeah.
Is that?
That's
I
what
didn't know
triggers
that.
it.
That's what triggers it, because it's amazing. The body's like, oh, you've given birth, here your milk's going to come in. I know, look at Lisa.
But then how does it? But it must
for
work.
you.
I mean,
So for you, how did that?
Maybe that's why I had a hard time with Braylee. With Gage, he just latched on, and I don't know if my supply was as great because it wasn't, and maybe
Gage.
that's why. But it just happened.
I was a C-section. So was my brother. I know my mom breastfed too. I'd be really
I think
curious.
normally it takes just a little longer. You have
Right.
to, just
It
because it
could,
doesn't.
I'm not
Your
sure.
body's preparing for 9 months. It knows it's going to happen, but it kicks it in quite more fast, more quickly when you.
Yeah.
And you don't get milk right away. You get colostrum first, which is like this clear yellowish fluid, and I guess it's like way better than breast milk. 'cause
Yeah.
it
Supposed
just
to be like
thicker,
it like
more
coats their
nutrients.
belly and like a ton of nutrients and like cleans them out.
Yeah, it's giving them all the things that they need
Yeah.
to survive. You know.
Yeah.
C-sections definitely, your body reacts differently. I feel like I felt like I was still pregnant, and that's the other reason it was hard to bond with Gage.
Yeah.
I still had a belly, and mentally and physically, I was like, this can't be my baby. Like, this can't be happening. You never want to see your child like that.
Yeah.
So,
Might have been like your body protecting yourself. And like
Yes.
for a mother who's gone through as much as you just went through, like your body's like, no, this isn't your baby. You're okay. Like,
Right.
just it's okay.
right.
Maybe I don't know. I'm no study of the brain person.
I have a friend actually who, I'm not sure exactly what she does, but she works with women, and she actually has a YouTube channel, and she talks a little more about it, and talks about how you can reconnect with your body and your baby and make that experience better.
Yeah.
And I would like to maybe look into that a little
Yeah.
bit more.
And a lot of women suffer from postpartum too, I know, and like it's and then they feel guilt because they're feeling depressed and don't know how to connect with their baby. But it's just the hormones in your body
Hormones,
stabilizing.
and your whole life is changing because you
Right.
have a baby.
Yeah.
And
I think it's important to know with postpartum also is that it affects women differently.
Yeah.
Some people get really sad. I got really weird. I didn't want to be around anyone. I didn't feel depressed, but I kind of got freaked out about everything. So I kind of got more like OCD weird. And I wouldn't have thought that I had postpartum, but I mean it is. Like there's different types, so
We should have an entire show
Yeah.
about
I
that.
did a little bit
Yeah.
about that, and one thing I forgot is like there's baby blues and there's postpartum. Postpartum is like more severe and more
Yes.
extreme. Most women go through baby blues, or just kind of like because your body's so depleted of everything, blood, your nutrients, everything. It's just given life. Plus, it's like creating, especially if you're producing breast milk and you're breastfeeding, all those nutrients are being pulled out, and so your body naturally just feels like kind of like glum and like at a low, like like in a slump or whatever. But,
you're not getting sleep because the baby.
Yeah, and you're not, so you're just like all out of whack. But postpartums can be really bad. Like there's been women who wanted to kill their baby. It's just your hormones are crazy. That's why it's good to take your vitamins after you have your
What's your birth experience like?
You can go.
Yeah.
I can go.
You're in line.
Yeah.
I had a water birth. I did do a water birth.
Were you
yeah.
surfing?
In the ocean on the
Sophia's
surfboard.
like on her surfboard. She's like, I can do this.
No, it was something my sister-in-law had given birth to her 3 kids in the water. And I also watched that movie you referred to.
Right.
And it was really, I love the ocean, I love the water, and I have a very holistic approach with stuff, like you, right?
So wait, what movie are you
I
talking
try.
about?
It's called The Business of Being Born, and it just gives the history of giving birth in this country, and we've had so many different stages. I mean, you have to go see it. It's
amazing.
unbelievable, and then it brings you up to the present and natural birth.
And also the business of being born, because a lot of times in medicine, it's almost like they want you to have all these drugs because they're making money off
Right.
of it. They want you to be induced so the doctor can give birth right away, not give birth. The doctor can can deliver.
And that they're pushing more C-sections on people because it's easier. You can go, the doctor can schedule it,
Yeah,
it takes an
and it's more
hour, and they're
money.
out, as opposed to like, it's a much more intensive
You guys gotta watch it.
experience.
As
Yeah, it's
parents,
great.
it's very.
movie.
So I did a water birth, and as you guys know, like I'm very I planned this pregnancy, and I had something in mind. It kind of went. Everything I expected, it happened. Like I wanted her to be born early because I wanted to do a natural birth and I didn't want to be induced. So I thought if I'm past my due date, they will induce me and I'll end up taking the drugs.
Right.
So I was like, I want her to be born like 10 days before, and she was born like 9 days before.
Oh my gosh.
And it started at home a little bit, like having the contractions at night, but it was very bearable. It was fine. And then I also wanted to give birth. I want to go to the hospital. I'm going in details here. Because I wrote a birth plan. Like they tell you, ideally, you want to write a birth plan of how you want things to go that you can also give your doctor so they can follow. She doesn't want the drug. She wants it like this. If she wants to do a C-section, like all the things you would want it to happen, like your ideal birth scenario. So I wanted her to be born, like in my head, I was like, if she's born in the afternoon, like that means I go to the hospital in the morning. That means I had a good night's sleep the night before. I won't be exhausted, because when you're tired, sometimes you'll end up taking the drugs too because your body can't push and everything. So sure enough, 7 a.m. Okay, let's go to the hospital, and it was amazing. Like I remember when I started feeling the contraction, I actually talked to Mila, and I was like, "You're gonna feel a lot of pushing," because I felt like I had connected already with her, and I wanted to tell her like, "You're gonna feel a lot of pushing, and it's okay. You're gonna meet me soon." I had a whole conversation with her, and like it's painful. Like it's not. I think that no one can really know what it's like, and a lot of people, I have to clarify, think that it's down there that hurts. It's not. It's the contraction. It's your stomach. It's like period cramp times a million.
It's labor.
Like
it's
I don't
a lot
even
of labor.
think
It's a lot of work.
that part would even hurt as much.
No, you don't even think
just
about
the-
it. It's like the
That's so
last thing on
interesting.
your
The
mind.
vagina like doesn't
So
hurt. It
the
like
pushing
feels
through
good
doesn't
almost. Like it's like
Get it out.
It feels good.
yeah, it's like a relief of pressure because there's so much pressure, and then when you start pushing, it's almost like it doesn't hurt down there. Like is kind of relieving this like intense pushing that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had the contractions, and then we ended up going in the tub. It's like I actually did it at a hospital.
So it was in the hospital.
It
That's
was like
cool.
the only hospital
Like
at the
a
time
midwife?
with a midwife. I had a midwife. It's the only hospital in California that did water birth. And actually, in the middle of my pregnancy, they called me and they're like, "Sorry, we can't do water birth anymore because liability reasons." And I was like, "No, we're still doing water birth." Like, I had it all planned, and I was just like, and I wanted to be, because I didn't feel necessarily comfortable doing it at home. I've never had a baby before. So hospital setting in a big tub, like a big hot tub type thing. And it was just a midwife, a doula. I had a doula, and my husband and I. And we got in the tub, and it was nice because when you have cramps and if you take a hot bath, it's soothing. So the pain, it wasn't as bad. I mean, it hurt, but it wasn't like you guys as far as like, and then it was like a 6 hour from when I left my house to when she was born. She was born at like 6 or 7 hours later. And oh yeah. And then when she, sorry, I'm like literally, I haven't thought about that in a long time. And then when she was born, it was perfect. Like, she was in the water with me.
So was she actually born in the water? Like, you were sitting in the water?
Yeah.
Did you pull her out?
Yeah, like...
I know, I didn't
Just
pull
like
her
that?
out, and I didn't do like in the movies where the husband is in the tub, because I thought that was a little weird. I'm not a hippie like that. So he was kind of like behind me outside of the tub, and then she was, so obviously she doesn't just pop out. Actually, she kind of came out really fast. So she, like, the head is sticking out, and then it was like a slow process of her coming out, and it's kind of like, like she kind of came out really fast.
After the
I didn't
shoulders,
expect
it's
it.
like-
It's like zoop, like.
Is
then
the
all of a sudden-
doula in there or the midwife? It's just
so the midwife was kind of like leaning in, and they monitor you with something in the water, to check like the baby's heart rate and everything. And then she just was born. And then some people leave their babies in the water because I guess it's like, supposed to be good. Like, they leave them
And
in
they
the
don't
water.
drown,
No,
right?
because you have what's it
fluid,
called?
and
The
the
umbilical.
fluid.
Yeah, in the fluid. So they're throughout the entire pregnancy, they're used to water. So when they come out, they never take their first breath.
Right.
They take their first breath when they're
scary.
out.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Scare me still.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but no,
Get her out of
it's
the
been
water.
done like forever. There's places around the world that's all they do is water birth. So she was, and then when she came out is when she took her first breath, and then that's what I was saying. That she was in the water with me, and then she cried a little bit. But I remember Mila has huge eyes, like big eyes. I just remember her like just staring at me, and she had so much hair, and she looked like she was 4 months old. She was so like developed. She, a lot of babies are, are more like squishy. She was like so alert, and my husband was here. We have like a bunch of pictures of that. It was like a beautiful moment. You're supposed to deliver the placenta. I know a lot of you guys don't know that, but there's like two births.
Yeah.
It's the birth of the baby, then the placenta. But then that was done on like on a regular, like table.
So you went back into the...
So I got out of the tub
okay.
and then went on the table and.
How do you do? You
Oh,
have to actually
really?
push and deliver
No.
It kind of
Or you just pull it?
comes out like naturally. Yeah, it kind of comes out like naturally. And if anything, I have to say that because that's actually funny.
I'm right with you.
And she was, I remember hers, my doula, like, they were like, "Do you want to see the placenta?" I'm like, "No." And they asked my ex, and I was like, "Don't look at it." I don't want him to look at it.
One of our producers was talking about how a lot of people actually take the placenta and they make it into pills that you, because it's full of nutrients. It's like this really...
Everything is just
yeah,
lost.
and that you can take them for the next few
Yeah.
weeks.
We talked about this on
Or
set
some
one day.
people
Kaylee and I were
eat
just
them.
like,
Yeah.
the things they come up with.
Yeah.
Do you know what's so gross? I could see my doctor while I was laying on the table holding my placenta. Ew. I was
It
like,
looks like a grocery bag
guys.
full of like blood. Mine fell out on the floor.
Okay, wait. We're freaking everybody out again, are
But
we?
it's the things they don't tell you that happen
I know,
afterwards.
right?
It's like this beautiful angel and doves and angels and music. But then it's like your body afterwards freaking just gave birth to like a thing, a child, and there's guts that are gonna come out, which is awesome because you lose weight. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
You gotta listen to this. When they saw my placenta, they were like, "Wow, you gotta look at this." And I'm like, "What? Like, what's so special?" Then they were staring at
a
it.
picture of her placenta.
They were like, "We've never seen such a healthy placenta."
Wow.
What?
That's
And then they said
You
that a
should have
lot
put
of
that in
times.
pills.
Yeah.
They said a lot of times it comes out like, kind of like rotten meat, where it'll turn like purple and black. And she's like, "Mine was so thick and red," and I was like, "So weird."
Whoa.
That's good. I mean, I guess that's a good sign.
Came out of it, but I'm still like,
Anyways, we're freaking out everyone right
It's
now.
actually helpful, I think. You know,
It's
'cause
the
I
very last
haven't-
thing on your mind after.
Yeah,
Right.
no, but it makes it less scary in my mind because it's so mysterious. Like when you guys were telling me your story, you know, I was like, okay. And when
Yeah.
you can actually picture and understand, it becomes less of a
Yes.
that's scary.
Well, I feel like
thing
I
that's
read
gonna
all the
happen.
books and did everything I was supposed to, went to the classes, but nobody told me that I was gonna birth a grocery bag of blood. Like, nobody tells you that, so it's not something to freak out. It hurts way less, and plus your mind is not thinking about being private in this moment of time. You're like,
Yeah.
whatever, you know what I'm
And I
saying?
don't even think I realized that
Yeah.
the placenta came out until like my second child.
Well, I know, I was
or
like,
third
what?
child. Like, oh, okay. There's more I didn't realize.
Basically,
I
it's
was
just
out
the
the
car
first
seat
time.
for the baby the whole 9 months is all that it is, okay?
Well, what was your experience like?
Oh gosh. So I was due November 14th, and I told my doctor. It's so funny. My OB was my mom's OB for Logan, and Glen's for Suntard or
For Rocktard.
And it's funny because when I went in when you're first barely pregnant, it's like pretty humiliating. You have to get up and show the world. And I was like, "You've seen my mom's Jay. You've seen my sister-in-law's Jay." Like just like weird connections. But so I was due November 14th, and the most frustrating part for me was like I wasn't progressing, nothing. My cervix had softened, but my doctor was like, you're not dilated, so we may wait. We may wait. And I told him, I said, I know it's close to Thanksgiving, and you don't want to be in here anymore as I do. So I will wait the 40 weeks. He can cook 40 weeks, but I want to be induced if he doesn't come. So I remember November 14th is when I went in, and he was like, yeah, nothing's happened. You haven't progressed. We'll put you in tonight. Call the hospital at 5 o'clock, and then we'll see if a room's open. So of course, like being like so anxious, had my backpack and everything. I'm waiting by the door at 5 o'clock. Call. There's no room. We'll call and let you know. 7 o'clock comes. Call. We'll call you when we know. 9 o'clock comes. Carly, we will call you when the room's open. So finally, comes 1 o'clock at night, and I'm tired, exhausted, pregnant, just wanting to have my baby. And they call, and they're like, "You can come now." I'm like, "It's 1 o'clock at night." So we're second wind. My ex and I grabbed my bag and we went, and they put me in a room. And my night nurse was like, "Okay, you're gonna have this baby in 7 hours. You're gonna get it done. We're gonna put Pitocin. They, the drugs they put you on." They put a pill in to soften my cervix, and they put me on Pitocin. She's like, because she was a night shift nurse, she's like, if I come back tomorrow night and you're still in labor, we're running these hospital stairs. It's like, I'll have it before then, I swear. So they gave me the medicine and started me, and I didn't sleep that night because of course I'm so excited, just up all night, I'm gonna have a baby, yeah. And morning rolls around, my mom comes in at 6 a.m. with McDonald's, and you can't eat for 24 hours either before.
But are you in a lot of pain during this?
No, I hadn't started contracting. My cervix
okay.
wasn't softening, nothing. And so the doctor actually got kind of worried because he said, your body's not responding to any of this medicine. So they doubled everything. So then I was in 13 hours, and then I started to kind of feel crampy, period cramps. And then they had me rolling on this big blue ball. I was bouncing up and down the hall, going past these people's rooms, hi, I'm a baby. My doctor's like, you are way too happy to you're definitely not progressing. And then I remember it was that night, I was just exhausted. I'd been up 24 hours, and my contractions started kicking in, and they were every 2 minutes. And you watch this monitor, when it starts going up, you know the contractions coming, so you know when it's gonna hurt. And it's just you can literally feel your belly tightening so tight, and it's just like you have to go to the bathroom. It just burning and stinging and hurting, and then it releases. But then my contractions were every 2 minutes. So 2 minutes, I would have a contraction, and I'd be down for not even a minute, and then they'd go again, and they would last 2 minutes. So I was contracting really hard, really fast. Mm-hmm. So then I was passing out because I was so tired, and they couldn't keep me. So they gave me a shot to slow me down because my body just was okay, let's go. And that was the part that hurt the worst. She gave me a shot in my hip, and she hit my hip bone. Oh. And the medicine burned. I could feel it burning through my body and shit. And I was that's when I started crying, because I was trying to be I'm usually pretty tough, physically. And that's when I started crying. And she's like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that it burned. And I wanted to be wow.
She told you after.
Yeah, she's like, I just want to freak you out, because a lot of people get freaked out if you tell them beforehand. So then that medicine made me PTFO, I was out. And then I remember waking up and vomiting, because I had nothing in my system but all this medicine they were putting in me. So I was vomiting in this little, then they give you this tray that's this big, and I'm trying to control my throw up. Who throws up pretty in a little,
I know, right? I always think that too when they hold this little thing. I'm like, what? Because I throw up with every, it doesn't even matter what's
It
going
looks
on.
like a lima bean, but this bigger, and it's pink, and they just
Lima bean.
throw up in this thing. It's gonna get all over. But the best thing I did, so I woke up after they gave me the medicine. I passed out. I woke back up. This was almost 20 hours in, and my contractions were still pretty intense. They're like, why don't you get up and take a hot shower? That was the best thing I ever did, because then it just like calmed me, and I was like, get in the game, Carly. Like, we're gonna have a baby. So then I remember Colette was there, and she had her camera. My ex was there. My mom was there. His mom was there. Her husband was there.
Whoa.
My ex's dad and his wife were there. They were all off to the side, so it was like very flattering. But I am like, this was their first grandbaby on their side, and my mom's first. Like, you know, I'm her only daughter, and so. But I was grateful everybody was there. It was like a team to have the baby. But 26 hours in, I think I pushed with Cooper for 40 minutes, and he was out. And you know, they hand him to you, and he had so much hair, and he was really tan, and just.
But you
He was
hadn't
like
had
a
an.
little man.
But you were feeling it. I mean, what about the epidural?
Oh yeah, so of course they gave me the epidural, and they have you like, you're so fat and pregnant, and they had me sit like in a butterfly position, and they have you try to crunch over so that your spine, you know, they can see where your spine, and that
Because the epidural is very painful.
And if you're having a contraction at the same time, it's
you're
like,
just well, your whole body's heightened, so you're just like feeling tense, and they couldn't. It takes a long time, so they couldn't get in between contractions. So I got that, and then
in your spine, right?
Yeah.
And the point is so that the baby doesn't have the drugs, but you totally don't feel.
yeah, you're like
anything, right?
paralyzed
Yeah.
literally from here down. But one thing I remember that I'm so scared it's gonna happen again. For some reason, the way I was sitting, I was blocking a nerve, so I could feel like this, like a circle. I could feel all the pain right here, but everything else was numb.
Wow.
So I felt like when I was pushing, it was like his arm was gonna come out that way. Like, because all the pressure was focused on like that one spot. And I remember looking down and being like, my hips were gonna rip open, because I felt it all in that one area, but nowhere else.
Wow.
It was crazy. But then, yeah, so then you birth the baby, and they hand him to you, and he's beautiful, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I did it. And so I was in labor for almost 48 hours, and my night nurse, the one that warned me, came back in. She's like, I knew you'd get it done. I knew you'd get it right done right when you needed to. But, yeah, so then the whole grocery sack thing, and my doctor was like, oh, here it comes, and it like fell and like burst on the floor. Like, and your legs, and you're like, oh, sorry about that. Like, I couldn't even feel it coming out. And then they're trying to get Cooper to latch on, so they pulled my shirt down, and I just remember like laying like this, and Colette was like trying to get my nipple in Cooper's mouth.
because it's important, right?
So like my mom's there because she's breastfed, and Colette's there, and like everyone's telling me what to do, and the nurse is there, and I was just like, and they're stitching me up down there, and I'm just looking around like, what's going on? And Colette's literally pinching my nipple so that it will fit in Cooper's mouth. Like, I love you, thank you, dog. And, like,
It's such a vulnerable thing.
Yeah.
but
You
you're
feel
not,
like,
because it's just like you work
You're
so
just, like,
hard,
hurting.
and
but you're just like, wah,
yeah,
you know?
it's
You do
nothing
your
like
thing.
sexual. It's amazing. It's amazing what your body can do, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's creating a whole nother person. It's unbelievable to me that it happens all day long, every day. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
That's what I forgot to mention when you said the stitching. When you do a water birth, your skin is in the water for a long time, so it stretches.
yeah.
So I didn't have the tearing.
Oh, wow.
Did they break your guys' water? I forgot. They broke my water with like this. They came in with this big crochet
Oh,
hook.
yeah,
And he was
yeah.
like, I'm going to break your water. I'm like, you are not going to do anything with that sort of thing, sir? It's like this long plastic. He's like, yeah, I'm going to break your
They're
water.
like, don't be
They
scared.
scrape it. They
He's like,
scrape it.
I'm going to do something with this. So he goes in and just goes, and all of a sudden it's like, I just peed my pants.
Oh my
But
God.
it's your water
But it
breaking.
relieves a lot of pressure too.
Yeah. That's when my contractions really started, is when they broke my water. I forgot that
People
part.
think that whenever you're about to give birth, you're gonna break your water, but most people don't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
That's the beginning of everything.
Yeah,
think
but no,
it's-
but people only, I think like 10% of women have their water break
Yeah,
before
I've
they give
always
birth.
had to have mine broken for me.
My mom too. I think it's very genetic how your mom has your babies. I think that's. But you know what I loved about it? It was like nobody can tell you how to push, and your doctor can kind of tell you the feeling. But I really felt like for some reason I knew what I was doing. Like I'd done
Right.
it 100 times. I was like, you're all of a sudden you're a mom, and this instinct takes over, and you're like, I know what I'm doing. And I remember my OB's like, is this the first time you've had a baby? I'm like, pretty sure. You know? But I think that happens for a lot of women. You just naturally like know what to do, and that's why you can't read a book, or that's
Like,
why
listen to your body.
it's scary because nobody knows what to expect. But it's your instincts take over, and you're like, I'm gonna have this baby.
I feel a little bit different. I feel like mentally I was not prepared, so I was so scared, and like I said, I was close. Like I was like, no one's gonna come around me. No one's gonna look at me. You know. So I think I didn't naturally do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is different for everybody. It's different. That's why you can't be scared. You just go, I'm more scared
But
for
I
the
think-
second one because I knew what happened the first time.
It gets easier.
I was gonna ask, so you had 4, were the birth completely different?
Yes, they were all. I mean, similar in the fact that I always have them pretty quick, but like I think the best one, you know, with Suntard, I was induced, and it happened like fast, the contractions, but they had me on an epidural pretty quick because I was dilating, like I was responding really well. So they had me on an epidural, and I remember just being numb from here down, so I couldn't feel anything. Like I couldn't feel the pressure or the contraction or anything. I would look at the monitor and go, oh, I'm contracting right now. You know, and you can't feel it, which was awesome. Like I was so grateful for that. And it went smooth, and I had him, but I couldn't walk afterwards. I couldn't feel anything. And with the second one, with Princess Heart, it was similar. Like I got an epidural, but I remember the epidural wasn't as strong. Like for some reason, I don't know if the medicine had kicked in all the way, and I could sort of feel the pressure, and I liked that. I liked being able to feel like, oh, I could feel the baby, you know? And I sort of liked that more than being completely numb. But I think the very best labor and delivery that I ever had was with Baby Tard. And I think what made the big difference was I was teaching aerobics.
Right.
And I was teaching, like I taught Thursday and I had her that next day or something, you know? And so my body was in really good shape, and I started naturally on my own 3 weeks early. And which was awesome because Suntard was late.
Right.
Like they were all different too. Like one was early, one was late. So it never works out perfectly.
But being in really good physical health probably helped, and just being active, so that's probably a good thing to
I've heard the
think about,
more
right?
in shape you are. One thing that I wanted, was people like get so mean about epidurals and how could you drug your baby and it's so bad for you, it's so bad for your baby, but
it doesn't affect the baby.
It doesn't. And there was 2 other women in labor, and like I was in the corner room, and they were in this room, and they were screaming and cussing, and they were in labor longer than I was because they were having natural births, which I think is amazing. Anybody who can do that and connect and do it the right way can focus, and you know, that's amazing. But I didn't think that my birth was any less awesome or my baby was affected anymore because I had an epidural. It like helped me. Some women, I needed to focus and to get that pain like.
Yeah, sometimes you do have to have an epidural because you have to listen to your body. You can end up in, you know, emergency C-section. It could be dangerous for the kid or the mom.
Right. I think if I would have been given an epidural early on, my body could have relaxed. I think that was a big part. I was in labor, but not intense labor for 10 hours, and then I was in hard labor for like 15 hours.
Yeah, yours was. I remember my mom calling me like, pray for Kaylee, because you were having such a hard time.
Yeah, it was really bad, but I just could not relax, and they wouldn't let me move.
That's what's hard about sometimes nurses and doctors. I think it's like we're mothers and we know our bodies, and I know they have to have that professionalism of like they do know what's best, but sometimes you have to listen to a mom and to a woman and be like, I know I need this will help me out.
I don't think they always know what's best.
I didn't think
the
so
point
either.
So you probably knew what was best for you.
I was trying. Also, my labor was a little bit different. Braylee was faced the other way, so my labor was in my back. So I was feeling it in the front and the back, and I didn't know what to do, and they wouldn't even like let me sit up. I think it would have made a huge difference.
Yeah. If I would have been there, girl, I would have told them doctors.
Yeah.
I said, you give her that in the back now.
Your mom was with me. Your mom was with me through the worst of it. She really was, and she was like, "What is going on?" And she was laughing at me because I'd be like hurting and crying and getting mad, and then I'd be like, "Thank you." And she was like, "What is going on with you?" But you want to be nice to the people taking care of you.
Given I wanted the epidural from the beginning, I'm like, if you're going to give me drugs to make this easier, I know it's going to be hard. Like, I'll take it. But they were worried because I was in labor for so long and I was like passing out. So I was like literally up for 48 hours and just, you know, hard contractions. They're like, give her the epidural. I was like, yeah, what he said. Give her the drugs.
Yeah. Can you describe the pain? Like what kind of pain? Shooting pain? Like sharp? Like what is the?
It's such bad pain. Like seriously. This sounds really morbid, but I was like, someone kill me. I cannot do this anymore.
You were
It's
so
like somebody's
exhausted,
grabbing your
too.
guts from the inside and like squeezing it.
Whoa.
I remember telling the doctor, I was
that
like,
way.
can you let me go home, doctor? I promise I'll come home. I'll promise I'll come back tomorrow and I'll
was
try
really
harder.
true.
I was like bargaining with it. I'm like, if you let me go home, I'll just go home and rest and come back and do this again.
I did that too. The nurse, I was like, you guys started this. Can you stop it?
Yeah.
I'll come back later.
Pause. I'm not ready.
I think, I mean, if you're a woman, obviously you know what it's like to have cramps. Maybe you don't. But it's like your uterus is bigger now because it's holding the baby. And so it's that contraction, but it's like your whole stomach. So it's like a big, tight contraction. And they can get really painful. But I think breathing through it, and they tell you, Lamaze and stuff like that, like learning how to breathe through it and like mentally, I think your mind can do a lot if you can mentally wrap it around. Because I don't know how you got through 28 hours, but you know, for me, even the 6 hours that I was in labor, it was a little bit longer with Baby Tard because I went naturally, and I wasn't induced. But it's really painful, and it gets more and more, but you have to like sort of wrap your brain around, why am I doing this and why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
And it's going to be gone in just a few hours.
I
You know?
think watching the chart, and like you said, the whole contraction process is it's your body getting the baby from up here, because that's when they say, oh, you've dropped, meaning your body is getting ready to put the baby through the birth canal, through your hips. And when your body contracts, it's pushing the baby down. So that's where you feel like the pressure, and it feels tight down there, but it doesn't feel how you would think, when I'm pregnant, my vajayjay is going to break open. But it's just the pressure of squeezing that baby through the birth canal. And Cooper was E-faced, I think is what it called, meaning he was flipped the wrong way. So they had to go up and flip him, because they're supposed to come with their head out, face down, right? Or face up.
It can break your tailbone.
It's supposed to be the face. The face is not supposed to be up. It's supposed to be like this, like the anterior position.
They say that, like, I don't know if it's true, this is probably just some random thing I heard, but that your mind actually, like, biologically forgets the level of pain that it is, so that you'll do it again. You know, that there's something that actually happens in our brains that actually forgets
also, like,
it to a degree.
When you have your baby, it's all worth it, no matter what. It's just like you're just like, that doesn't matter.
Right.
I would do it so again. I would
As
do
soon
it
as they
over
hand
and
you
over.
that baby, you don't focus on any, like, I vomited, my hip hurts. It's nothing like that. It's just because we're recalling it and, like, trying to remember.
Right.
But as soon as they give you that baby, you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad.
Right.
Like, I could do it again.
Right.
Because right after I
like a
gave
labor of
birth,
love.
I was like, it was painful.
Right.
And then a month later, I was like, it wasn't bad.
Right.
For guys, though, how to describe the pain, I would say it's like, it's the worst stomach flu, like those pains you get where you have to go to the bathroom, just like squeezing, sour, like.
For like a whole or 2 minutes long.
Yeah,
Like,
and it gives
nonstop.
you like goosebumps, you know, almost pain or something. You get like the hurt so bad it gives you goosebumps, and you're just like fetal position.
Or they say it's like passing kidney stones, right? I've heard that before, or something for a man, which I believe that we go through more.
Yeah. I don't know that men could do this, but
I think it's important, though, that you mentally prepared. If you're scared like I was, I didn't really tell anyone or talk about it. I was just scared and private and wanted to stay that way. I think if I would have talked about it, figured it out, talked with my doctor, you know, let others around me know how I was feeling more, and had someone help me mentally prepare for that, I could have had a better experience. So anyone who's that scared, it's even scary to ask for help.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's so important.
Yeah, this is really interesting for me. You know, just listening to everything. You know, when I have a kid, I want to make sure I'm like in shape and mentally in shape and can prepare for it, because it just seems like you have to be.
Well, I was gonna suggest for like the viewers, if you're planning on getting pregnant or if you're pregnant, I think that it's kind of, you have to do your homework.
Right.
Like, just like being in school, if you read about it, you have to read about what happens in a C-section. Even if you don't plan on it, you need to know how it happens, what are the different drugs, because when they're asking you, this is what you're gonna do you want to do this or that, you have no time to read up about it. You have to be prepared and know everything, and then once the birth happened, then if it was a certain situation, you have to, make a decision.
And don't be scared. It's awesome. It's
Yes,
lovely.
it's so worth it. Yes.
All right, guys. Well, we have talked for probably an hour. About
We can talk all day about vaginas and
I
babies.
said we could talk way longer too. So
Thank you guys for sharing and being.
thank you.
This is good. This is good for me. Yes.
Good. Get pregnant. Go.
Right. soon. And so moving forward, I probably won't be able to consistently host anymore, just because I'm working a lot. Yeah, it's getting busy. But I want to come back and like drop in and check in.
Yeah,
And there'll be lots of other hosts. You guys have already seen, done it with Sarah. But this has just been so amazing and so fun.
Well, we love an amazing journey.
Oh! Orchids! I love orchids.
Look at this.
Oh, you guys. Thank you. I love orchids. Beautiful.
And this is a craft from
Is this a
Kaylee.
And then like
Oh, it's so
all jumbled up here.
Oh, this is great.
And this is from everybody, Lisa, from the moms, and for me,
you're gonna
because
make me
I am so grateful. I know we all are. Lisa, as you guys know, really started the Whole Moms You and the Whole Moms Vertical, and it's been an amazing ride for all of us. And I've learned so much from you, and we're all so grateful. And the crew is too, and we all just take a minute.
And speaking of birthing, this is your baby. So.
I know, right?
Yes. She birthed an amazing baby. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Love you guys. No, this has been so amazing for me. Really, all of you guys mean so much to me, and I just love all of you, and just believe in all of you. And this has been so fun. This is crazy. You know, this is my house. We're all living here. We're all together. You know, so I'm just so excited for all of you just watching everything you've been doing and everybody how they're growing, and this is changing all of our lives. So I just love this and love you guys.
We have a good
Thank
team.
you.
You're not going forever. You're coming back.
I'm coming back.
I'm not dying. Not like goodbye forever or anything.
And just working with you has been amazing, and doing this together has been so awesome, and I love you.
It's been
So.
You guys are more moms than we are at times.
You will be ready when you have
babies.
kids.
We have some good babysitters, too. We should get pregnant at the same time.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I should just get pregnant.
I want to
yeah.
join you guys.
I know.
All right.
But this is not. This is if when you're an adult. This is not for teenagers. This is not, this is like
No
the
pregnancy
kids at
packs.
home. You wait till you're an adult. And I always forget that there's kids watching out here. It's not just like
Yes.
let's just do
When
it,
your kids think about getting pregnant, think about the placenta. And,
and save it and save it.
And your belly and everything. Think about everything.
You guys, I love you guys. Let me look at
We
this.
love you. So we do have a giveaway. Our giveaway is this awesome makeup set and these eco tools.
I use those
I do too.
eye brushes. They're awesome.
Carly did my eye makeup today.
Yay, thank you.
I'm like, so like, do not cry.
Don't mess it up.
So go to our Facebook page and what are we gonna have them say?
Respond to today's video.
Yes.
And the best, most thoughtful response will be the winner.
Yes. There you go. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to leave comments and questions and whatever you want to hear from us. All right.
We love you.
Love you. Bye.